So somebody on one of these used Ottawa Facebook pages had asked me for some more pictures, but I don't have any more pictures. So I figure I'd do a quick video to show you more about the table, and I'll explain a little bit too about how it was built and some of the aspects of it. So the cover here is included with it, so I'm just going to take that off. Bear with me as I'm doing this with one hand. So this is what the top looks like, sort of a herringbone pattern. This is the acacia wood. It's really solid. It was stained a walnut color, and it has about 6 layers of a spar varnish, boiled linseed oil, mineral spirit combination on it. It's a wipe-on application that I got from a guy on YouTube.
Right up, brother.
Sorry, I got interrupted there a second. So yeah, so the acacia wood, it's mold resistant, rot resistant. It's a hardwood. I had left this outside for about 3 months uncovered because I wanted to test it to make sure it was going to handle the weather, because it was the first time I built one of these and I didn't know if this type of finish would hold up. So after 3 months in the rain, it really has taken no damage at all. It has the original gloss on it. You can see, if I can get it, see it in the sun there, you see that it's pretty sharp. Alright, and so that's 3 months in the rain. So now I have the cover for it and I keep it on, but you should not expect any damage to it. I would say that in some places I cut it a little deeper here because the original wood had sort of these little knots in it that had a line, so I cut them out in order for it not to expand in the future, sort of like what I did right here. There's one spot over here which you can't really tell, but it lifts a touch, probably from the 3 months outside, but as I said, I have a cover on it now. I'll just do the walk around so you can get a look at it. You can see I have the air vents up here across the top, which is not particularly necessary for propane insulation, since this is enclosed. This part up the top, which I'll show you in a minute, is enclosed, and that's what's required for propane applications. You have the Tennessee whiskey insignia on the other side. Just to give you the 360. So the bottom part here, the base, this is solid oak. Of course the whiskey barrel is solid oak. It's all metal sheeting, and of course this is acacia, like I said. So I'm gonna pause this and take the top off because I can't do it with one hand, and then I'll show you what the glass looks like. So now the cover has been removed. This is what the glass looks like. This is a fire glass, especially made for fire pits. It doesn't give off any odor or smoke, and it heats up, so you'll get warm once you're around it too at night. The steel of the bowl is, I don't recall what the type of steel is, but it's a special steel made for fire pits. I'll go inside now and show you the where the propane kit is. So the tap here is actually the door handle. It opens up so you can see inside. It's where the whiskey barrel was charred. Your propane kit assembly, which is NSA certified, it's been set up here. So you have your regulator for your propane kit, and up at the top right there you see your air intake valve, your air mixer. And then what you can't see up there really is your ring, because it's above the plate. So that's how that's set up. So I'm going to turn it on here. So the propane is open. So in order to turn on your propane kit, or turn on the flame, you need a special key. It's this. So if you have kids, they cannot turn this on without this key. There's a special hole in the bottom. So I'll turn that on. You can hear the airflow a little bit. And there you have it. So it's a little bit windy right now, so it's not the best time to be starting this up. So I think that's probably pretty close to full size. I'll back up a bit so you can get a little perspective. So it looks pretty good. Once the glass heats up, after a couple of minutes, you'll see the flame get more circular. I find that. I don't know if it's just me thinking that happens, but I think it is. I'll turn it down a little bit. I'm going to just check it. Not too much. The wind is taking it, so it's not going down too much. So that's essentially it for what it would look like at this time of day. It's around 7 at night. I guess I should show you the base. There's 4 legs underneath the bottom. I didn't level it, so it might look a little weird. And you can see the bracing underneath, how that's put together. The bottom base is protected with polyurethane, and the barrel is just hand rubbed oil with the Spire-Vinous mixture, but just a light mixture. If you notice a couple screws missing, it's because I saw that they were chipped, so I wanted to touch them up with paint and put them back in, which I guess I'll have to do soon. So not bad. There's my next project down there. So I'll come back in about a half hour, let's say, when it starts to get dark. I won't wait for it to be pitch dark, just so you can see how the flame is in the dark, or at least in partial darkness. So it's 8:30 at night, and I figure it's dark enough for you to see just what this looks like in the darkness. I don't have much light out here, so I didn't want to wait too long, because then all you'd see is the flame and not too much of the top itself. But here's the flame. It's pretty much on full, so you can see what type of flame you get out of it. If you look at it enough, you'll see that the glass looks like it's simmering, and it does get pretty high. It's on high there now, but it does go down if you bring it down. And you also see the I don't know how much you can see it, but you see the wood grain pretty good too through the finish. Some people were asking me if this is an original Jack Daniel's barrel, and I said yes, and somebody said, well, it doesn't look like it because you never see the decals in white, and the ones that you see on the Jack Daniel's website that they sell that are retired, they have the black one on it. But I put these stencils on myself because they weren't on these barrels, because these are older ones. But the top that wasn't here I kept, and I'll show you that it is indeed a Jack Daniel's barrel, because this is the top that came with it. And I guess back in the day this is what they did, and it's a bit hard to see, but you can see up here, it's hard to read, but Jack Daniel Distillery, something Malto Property Inc., Lynchburg, Tennessee. And I don't know what those numbers mean. I never checked, but I'm sure it would give an indication of the batch and probably the year that it was tapped, originally tapped. And I think this one was tapped twice, because there was a hole on the side and there was a hole on the other bottom part of this. Now I was intending to make a seat out of this, but for this project I decided not to do any seats. But you can see that Jack Daniel Distillery, so it is In fact, the Jack Daniels barrel. Since you can quote the history, since I just gave you those numbers too, you could look it up and you can see when it was actually tapped and everything, so you'd have a bit of history with it as well, which to some people are important, and to myself as well, which is why I spent the extra money on a Jack Daniels barrel, even though it doesn't really show it on it. What else to say? I guess that's about it. I do have the papers on the propane assembly kit showing that it's NSA certified, which is important, which is an entire part of the whole design of why how I came up with this. I didn't want to do this project without making sure that it was safetied. And as far as I know, this is the only whiskey barrel fire pit table like this, where the top is entirely of wood and you have the cover, which is of the same wood. And I don't think I've seen any where you have that bottom plank also out of the same type of wood, which also acts as a footrest. I don't think there's any other one like this out there. At least I haven't found one. And for me, it's perfect height to come up and have your drink, sit around. It's good elbow length. You can get close enough, so I'm standing right at the edge of the table now, where you're not impeded by the heat. You can even touch the bowl here. It's warm, but it's not going to burn your fingers off, so nobody's going to catch on fire or anything by being too close to this, unless you don't stick your hands in it or anything. Like, that glass does get pretty hot. But even when you turn this off, you can put the lid on it immediately, just because the lid is not too hot. So it's not like you have to wait for an hour for it to cool down. And once the lid is on, of course, you can put the weather resistant cover over it right away as well. So not perfect, but not bad for my first one. And that's it. Thanks for watching.